Welcome back to another episode of Travel Ball Talk. I'm your host, Rich Prado, owner of Play In School. And today we head up to Peoria, Illinois, to meet with my new friend, Michael Broadhurst. You guys are going to get to listen in on my first ever conversation with Michael. So hopefully it goes well. Hopefully we remain friends at the end of this. But I'm excited. If you're not terribly familiar with the Illinois Steel, you can go to illinoissteel.com over on the internet or on Twitter at ILSteelBaseball. And I only mention that, Michael, because I usually forget to until the last second of the show, and nobody's listening at that point in time. So, illinoissteel.com or ILSteelBaseball. Michael, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Yeah, good, Rich. Thanks for having me. Glad we could finally connect.
Yeah, you got it. Like I told you, this is one of the clubs I've followed on Twitter for a while, but I never had a connection or an introduction. That part of the country, I guess y'all call that the Midwest or something. I'm an East Coast guy, so I know most everybody out here. So I'm glad to connect and at least get another contact in that state. And there's a lot of good baseball out there. So first thing I want to do is step out of the way, hand you the mic, and kind of give our listeners a quick background on who you are and your baseball background, and then talk about how the Illinois Steel came to be, when that went down, and then catch us up to where we are today.
Yeah, born and raised Peoria, Illinois. For those who don't know, if you hit the center of Illinois, we're right in the middle of the state. People up in Chicago want to call it Southern Illinois, which is fine. Everything's south of Chicago, but we've got a lot of good baseball out of the Peoria area. We started this Steel program. This will be our 8th season. I was the head varsity coach at Peoria Notre Dame High School. We had a good run there. In fact, that was my alma mater as well. So I was coached by the legendary coach Jerry Rashid. He's an Illinois high school Hall of Famer. Had some success there. In fact, that's where I really wanted to get my coaching bug. Couldn't hit a whole lot in high school. Was a decent fielder, couldn't hit a lick. Realized that college baseball probably wasn't in my future. So I went off in college, became a college student, had some fun partying, going to football games. But I got the itch to get back in. I missed the competitive juices. So Ryan Williams, who was the varsity coach at the time, I talked to him, and he got me on staff back at Peoria Notre Dame. So it was kind of neat coaching at my alma mater with the underclass and getting to be around those kids, and then just worked my way back up and was named the varsity coach a few years later. Led our team to a record number of wins for the school, which was quite an achievement. And then while I was at Peoria Notre Dame, my good friend Doug Ghostman, he was the varsity coach at Richwoods High School. They were rivals with Peoria Notre Dame, and we became buddies off the field. And he was actually coaching a group of kids, his son and some other kids from my high school when they were freshmen. This group called the Peoria Metro Furies, named after I think the mascot in the Warriors movie. And we were sitting in a hotel in South Bend, Indiana. I remember it was one of those rain delay weekends where we didn't know if we were going to play or not. We were kind of held hostage in our hotels, and we were sitting around talking about making the Furies a bigger program, and I wanted to coach my own team, and what could we do? And that was kind of the beginning talks of the Steel. And the following year, we said let's change the name up a little bit. Let's see what we can do. And the first year of the Steel, we had 3 teams, which we had a 17U team and 2 15U teams.
Wow. First year out the gate, huh?
Yeah, Doug had his team, I had a team, and then we had a parent coach one of the other teams. So yeah, we were like, man, let's get in and do this. So we hit the ground running, 3 teams right out of the gate.
And that was, I got here when we were talking, 2014, right?
2014, yes. Yeah, we started with the fall team. That was kind of our guinea pig. we had a good group of kids, and we won our first tournament. And we're like, man, is it going to be this easy? But, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't, but it was the birth of something special.
That's pretty cool. So 3 teams first year out, and that was 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
And fast forward to today, where are you at?
Yeah, we're looking at we'll have well over 300 kids in the program. We're shooting for 30 teams this year. We've actually expanded our footprint a little bit. Most of my kids come from Central Illinois, draw like a 45-mile radius. We'll find kids from there. Last year was our first year of having kids out of the Quad Cities area, which is on the Iowa-Illinois border. And we're going to have, I think, 5 or 6 teams in that area. So, yeah, we're expanding our footprint each year. You know, I'm looking to, you know, I don't want to just be a powerhouse in Central Illinois. I kind of want to take over the state and the Midwest area.
There you go. There you go. That's quite the growth to go from 3 teams to 30 teams in you know, not even 10 years is pretty good. Now, do you guys have your own facility to support these players, or do you stay out of that whole business?
Yeah, initially when we started the program, we were kind of just going from here to there, jumping on high school fields when we could. You know, being in the Midwest, it's tough getting on the field when it's, you know, 8 inches of snow outside.
Yeah.
But we've had some fortunate people come in and put up some facilities in the Peoria area, so we've kind of worked out of there. We work out of 2 or 3 different facilities in the Peoria area, so it kind of houses, you know, we're kind of like the nomads. We kind of find out where some empty field space is, and we kind of jump on those places.
Got it. And indoor facilities too. So you're not in that business at all, which is, you know what, those businesses come with you know, plenty of headaches and plenty of overhead to have to worry about. So if you can be a renter at a facility, that works really well sometimes.
You know, I've gone back and forth. You know, I've talked to some guys who own facilities. In fact, one of my 10U coaches, he actually owns one of the facilities we work at. And, you know, I go back and forth, you know.
Yeah.
Do we have a facility? Should we not have a facility?
Sure.
And some days you're like, man, I wish it was just up in here and, you know, not the competing travel program.
Sure.
But, you know, it is what it is. We make do with what we've got.
Yeah. No, they're nice. They're nice to have, but again, they come with overhead. So it just depends on how much overhead you want to manage. You know, I just left my buddy's facility and just, you know, he's outgrowing it and he's got to either move or expand, and it's like the amount of dollars that he's invested in that space is just astronomical. Like like had a professional crew come out from like Texas or Oklahoma a couple years ago to build it out, only to have to, you know, 5 years later after investing all this money to probably have to, you know, just walk away from it. You know, so it's tough. It's tough. It's a you know, when it's going good though, it's going good, I suppose. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're out there, you know, I'll pull up the map. Well, the first thing I notice is you guys aren't too far from the Bloomington Normal area, which is where my good buddy Jack Warren from Top Coach Podcast used to live before he took off to the Sunshine State. You ever run across Jack Warren, Top Coach Podcast?
You know, I listened. I think he had a couple of coaches I knew on his podcast.
Yeah,
now that you mentioned his name, yeah,
he's a good buddy, and he was out there. In the, you know, the word Normal, Illinois just kind of rings in the back of my head when talking to him. And you know, you pull up the map, and you guys are what, maybe, I don't know, an hour from there or something.
Yeah, 45 minutes straight shot on Interstate 74.
Yep, and
home of the ISU Redbirds. And
then you begin to zoom out. You guys are right on the river there, but you zoom out a little bit, and you can kind of begin to imagine. Again, this is just me for the first time in life ever pulling up the map of Peoria, Illinois, and you just can imagine that the geography can actually be not in your favor, just from playing game standpoint, but also the recruiting process.
So
you're surrounded by big cities, but they're all, I'm guessing, 2 to 4 hours away. You got Chicago to the north, Indianapolis to the east, St. Louis to the south, Kansas City kind of southwest, and Des Moines straight west. Those are all pretty far away. So
we for the high school season, there's not a lot of strong events right in our backyard, which is kind of unfortunate. So we have to do a little bit of traveling. We love heading out to Indianapolis, St. Louis, Chicago area for those events. So just kind of where we're at. We got to kind of get out of our bubble and pack our bags for some overnighters.
We've had a couple of the couple guys from your region on the podcast in the past. My buddy Nelson Gord with Indians and NCSA, and then we had RJ Fergus was on the show. You know RJ?
I don't know RJ. I know Nelson.
RJ's from Hitters. But one thing I kind of picked up from at least those programs were 15 passenger van was kind of part of their culture, man. They both those clubs, and they're both from like the Chicago kind of area. RJ might be from Milwaukee. Can't remember exactly.
Yeah, the Hitters. Yeah, Hitters are Milwaukee.
I think further up the lake there, but yeah, they throw the guys in the 15 passenger and hit the road, and in a lot of circumstances, mom and dad they stay home. Are you guys sort of kind of similar to them, or are you sort of more like the, hey, every mom and dad follows us everywhere we go sort of deal?
Yeah, it's kind of a mixture. I know I've seen a lot more grandparents on the road with tournaments starting on Thursdays.
Yeah.
It's tough. I get emails all the time, man, when you have the schedule, I got to, request work off. Is this always a Thursday event? How do people work and do this and I when I was working full time, my vacation time was used on coaching. Yeah,
incredible.
It's one of those deals, I love doing it. I use my vacation time to coach these kids, and with like I said, being in the middle of Illinois, we gotta hit the, we've had vans like that.
Yeah.
I know Coach Ghostman and we'd pack up a minivan of 6 or 7 kids, and all their stuff piled in. We drove down to South Carolina one summer. We had 6 boys in the van, and first kid shows up with not a suitcase. He's got all his stuff in a trash bag. And,
oh gosh.
Missing cleats, but he had the cooler full of a snack. So
there you go. All
priorities.
Right. Come on, bring them. Yeah. Have y'all been? I'm still looking at the map. I'm still just like locked in on this geography.
Sure.
You get past Indianapolis, and it's just another hop, skip, and jump to Cincinnati, and
we played out there.
And the Flames and Coach Basil's put together. He's put together
awesome
some
event.
Big time events. Is that one that you guys kind of put on the schedule every year, or not every year?
We try to do that. We try to do that one every other year. I think we're due this year to play in it. We like, he's done a great job. Gorgeous venues. You get to play at, college venues, and if you're not at a college field, even the high school fields are, turfed out, and you're going to get your games in, and that's just one of the events we love going to. We've been down to Nashville, been down to the Music City.
Yeah, that one's gotten huge.
For a couple years. Yeah, that one's gotten. We played in it. Oh gosh, I think that was our first year. This is when we really wanted to do this, and I remember getting a call from Coach Ghostman. He had a 17U group down there, a pretty talented group, and he called me. He's like, dude, there are 30 coaches watching our game. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we're at some high school off the beaten path, and he's like, I got SEC coaches. This is our first time.
What were they there? I'm guessing they were there to see the other arm.
So the other guys they played, they were out of Alabama. I wish I could remember their team. They had 8 or 9 kids committed to Alabama and South Alabama.
Yeah.
And we ended up tying them, which was awesome for us.
Yeah.
Again, this is our first time out of our bubble and playing, what we consider big time baseball. And, we were just kind of starstruck. I remember just getting phone calls. I was so afraid of them getting run out of the building. I didn't know what we were getting into, but our guys competed, and I guess that was the whole point of it, was getting exposed and seeing where we were. And that's kind of, we knew we could hang a little bit with some of these bigger programs.
Yeah. And 6, 7, 8 years later, you guys are placing guys, at all the normal spots. So you've done something right. So that's pretty cool. Like like everybody else, you got an alumni list on there, and I'm flipping through, and I recognize a ton of the schools on here.
We, it's easy to get the top kids, right? I mean, we get some of those in the area. We also like the kids that are kind of, a little smaller, need some seasoning, overlooked, got a chip on their shoulder. We got a lot of junior college guys that kind of develop in the JUCO ranks and, go off some bigger schools. So, I don't promise my parents a pipe dream, hey, everyone's a Division I kid, where we're at, we do have some Division I kids, but there's good level baseball for every one of our kids. And, if we can continue their dream of playing college baseball, we're going to try to help them as much.
It definitely always makes me laugh when the travel coach who was with this phenom kid for one event wants to pound his chest about getting the kid signed, and you look up and you're like, well, the kid's 6'4", left-handed, and throws 92. So that was pretty easy, and pretty sure that took care of itself. It is, and it's kind of awesome that the first thing you brought up was the JUCOs, right? Like and you got a nice long list of JUCO commits on here on your website. So, it's like the reality is like the front end guys, those ACC, SEC talented kids. Those aren't the really hard ones to place. It's the other guys, right. And those are the guys where you really, need to probably spend more time in the marketing and communication than you do with the 6'4" left-hander who throws 92. All right, that kid, right. that kid's easy. He's gonna have plenty of options. Yeah, cool, man. Well, hey, let's I've been lately with the pod. I've been asking all the guests kind of a standard set of questions, and those questions usually add kind of lead us to other questions. So let's just let's go down these and see where it takes us. The first one, the way this question was originally written was what book should every coach read, and then I realized, I mean, myself included, I've got a 5-year-old, man. There's not a lot of book reading going on over here. So I changed the question to, it's more about what resource, what book, movie, website should coaches be learning from? Do you have anything, a book, a movie, a website, a resource that you recommend to coaches? My assistant coach when I was at Peoria Notre Dame, he recommended one. We were talking one day. He's like, "Man, I got the secret sauce for our guys." I'm like, "What are you talking? What are you talking about?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Trust me. This is going to help all of our hitters. We're going to believe in it. We're going to use it as a philosophy." This is going into our season, and before we won, 29 games, which is awesome. And I'm like, "Come on, man! Like, what? Spill it." He's like, "I got it." He always makes a big production about it, and so he sends me this link, and it's Steve Springer. The quality at bat. The quality at bat, sure.
Yes. So I'm like, what is this? So I listened to it, and I'm like, man, I think I could buy into this. And sure as heck, that whole year we bought a big whiteboard. We put it in the dugout. We got kids yelling out quabs, and we didn't even keep track. I mean, we had stats, but I only gave them their quab stats. And, if we hit a certain amount of quabs a game, we win. And it's the games we lost, these were our quabs, and we got to find a way to win. And we bought into it. We ate it up. We listened to it before games. Kids were on the bus. They had it on their phones. And that, I mean, if you're a guy who has a kid who's struggling with hitting or just confidence, get the Springer. I think it's probably now a download. Back then it was on a CD. But have them listen to it. I mean, I've got kids that tell me they still listen to it. In the college game, and it really is just like it sounds pretty basic, but really when kids buy into it, it works.
All right, that's awesome, man. I've met Springer a couple times, and he is the most laid back Southern California guy.
Yeah,
he's just got the vibe, man. And I think he'll admit that he's got about 30 minutes of material, but man, you don't need more than that. You know,
that's it. It's perfect. And like I said, it's perfect on the bus ride. Kid, we get to the field, kids are all jacked up, ready to play, like you said, play like it's opening day. And, I've heard
his speeches, man. They're good, man. They're good. I'll make sure when this goes out that I tag Steve on Twitter. So he hears the shout out from you, man. He'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's real cool. Is there another resource, another book or movie or website besides that you want to add to the?
I think one of your guys mentioned this earlier. I'm a big John Gordon guy. Energy Bus.
Sure.
That's one of my favorite books. Easy read. I'm not a real deep reader, but I can handle some pages. And I always tell my kids, bring your energy. We don't want any energy vampires around here sucking out the fun.
Yeah.
He's got some great leadership books, motivational books, and those are quick reads too. So that's kind of in the world we live in with kids and traveling and jobs and everything. So I'm a big John Gordon guy.
All right, cool. All right, let's see. Do you have a regret or a failure that changed the way you coach for the better?
Yeah, coming up as a young coach, you go in head first and you're ready to go and you're fired up and you try to not have any mistakes and your team needs to play perfect. And when I first came up coaching, I was trying to be a hard ass and old school and yelling and groaning at my kids. And I've kind of realized over the years that it was just not the way to go. And and I think I see a lot of youth coaches. I kind of have to remind my guys, hey, not every kid can be coached the same way. You can't put everyone in the same box. And, find your spots. Don't just be constantly on your kids because, baseball is a hard game as it is. And they're going to make mistakes. I've seen some terrible plays at the major league level,
Sure.
And when my kids make the same mistakes, sure, you get a little upset and find your spots to get on them. But at the same time, if you're riding them the whole time, they're going to play. They're going to be tense. They're not going to be loose. It's just so. I think one of the regrets was just kind of, it's good though. I mean, you evolve over the years, and looking back on it, I'd be like, oh my gosh, what was I saying? How was I acting?
Yeah.
But it really, as you get older, you kind of realize to pick your battles. And some kids need to be pushed a certain way, and some kids, you got to handle with kid gloves. But I think that's what makes someone a good coach is, how to read their players and how to get through to them.
I would say a vast majority of the coaches who come on here have answered the question in a very similar fashion. And, it's like maybe I dump that question. Maybe I don't ask that question anymore because it's so repetitive. But the fact that it's repetitive could be so valuable for a younger coach to hear, right? To hear to hear yet another person come at that question the same way. So I'm kind of glad I'm still asking that.
No, it sounds like I've listened to some of your episodes that I've heard that answered the same way, just different ways.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And I remind my young guys all the time, just pick your spots with these guys. That you're doing a good job. Just, they know when they mess up.
So
kids want to be perfect.
Yeah.
For their coaches.
All right, so we're 2021, almost 2022. Obviously, technology everywhere. Have you and your staff kind of gravitated towards any certain piece, whether it's a training piece, a piece of technology for the business, a piece of technology for communication? Is there talk about technology in y'all's life?
Sure. I actually just made a purchase for Rapsodo.
Okay.
Yesterday, so I'm going all in on this technology. My pitching coordinator wanted me to look into it, and I've been looking into it for a few weeks now. And it just seems like this is the way that everything's going. And I know I'm probably a few years behind everybody else.
Hey, better late than never.
I know. So I got a good deal. I bought one used.
Dip your toe in the water a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not jumping all in, but I know this is the way the game's been going for the last few years. With us kind of not having a facility, so it's kind of hard to house some things that you want to purchase. But we've got a pretty intense off-season program for our hitters and pitchers, and I think this will be something pretty awesome. For those guys,
and you can carry it with you.
Yeah, it's portable.
Yeah, that
makes it even better.
That's a big time. Advantage for that particular piece of hardware. You can carry it with you, which is pretty cool. So we talked a lot about sort of the foundation of the steel, and starting with 3 teams and growing to 30 in 7-8 years. What's the one piece of advice you'd give someone that's starting a travel team?
Yeah, make sure you're in it for the right reasons. It's easy to start. I always say it's easy to start one team, right? Get your own son and his buddies, and you guys stay together. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
What's hard is actually doing a whole program and staying consistent. And, you can't get too high. You can't get too low. I've lost kids and coaches to other programs. And, it frustrates you at times, but you just got to stay the course and keep doing it for the right reasons, for the kids and, making sure you're helping them out along the way and giving them the best resources they can take advantage of. So anyone starting out, are you doing it for yourself? Are you doing it for your own kid?
Here, let me add to that based on something you told me earlier. Are you willing to take a vacation day from work for some teenage kids playing baseball?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, then it might not be for you. Because that's what you had to do to get this thing off the ground, is literally take vacation days. I think that shows a lot to a parent of a kid on that team.
Yeah, no, it is, and we've seen it time and time again where and I'm not knocking dads, because we need dads to coach kids and teach them how to play the game, but sometimes those guys kind of pull at the strings of their friends who are a little better than Johnny, who need an opportunity to maybe be seen or have a program that can help them get recruited, as opposed to the dad keeping them close to the vest so they can win a couple more games, So it's one of those deals, but, if you're looking to start a program, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, and it's hard. It really is. It's not easy. There are days where you kind of wonder what you're doing, and, when new teams come in or bigger name programs try to come in your footprint and, steal kids and try to sell them, we've got X amount of draft picks and D1 guy, it's you just got to kind of stay the course and be good to your families and your kids and have a good retention rate, and you can have a pretty good program.
Yeah. And speaking of retention rate, now you guys have the younger age groups, and so that creates a really nice feeder. Do you think? I mean, is it just obvious saying it makes your life easier to have sort of that minor league system that feeds the older kids?
Yeah, we like to. We start as early as 7, which is kind of crazy, but we have a 7-year-old team. And most of our kids, I would say we're usually in the high 90%, retention rate, which is awesome.
Really?
That means we're doing something pretty good. So
yes,
that's how I look at it. As if we're retaining a lot of kids, we're doing something right. It means our coaches are doing right, and the high school guys are doing right, and we're sending kids off to colleges, and I think it's one of those things where we keep the kids in the program, and of course, as they progress, as they get to high school, we don't, sometimes they don't make the top team, which is okay. We want to keep them in the program, keep them in our off-season stuff, get them better, and still find a place for them to play after high school. So, again, we just have to be realistic with our expectations. Trust me, tryouts are the worst part of the season for me. I hate cutting kids. I hate telling kids, and sometimes we've had kids in the program for several years and they're just not cutting it. And if I could keep all those kids, I wish I could.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we do a pretty good job of retaining what we have, on paper.
Now, before we hit record, you and I were actually talking about that 7U team. For the benefit of the people who are listening, can you repeat and just give them an idea of what you're doing at 7? Because they may have heard that and go, holy cow, what's he doing? Travel baseball at 7 years old. Can you just kind of give a rundown of what y'all have going?
My youth coordinator, Bobby Zimmerman, he was coaching our 9U team, and he had a group, maybe 3 or 4 kids on his team that had some siblings that were 6 and 7 years old. And he's like, hey, what do you think about a 7U team? And of course, I kind of gave him a funny look and cringed a little bit. And he's like, no. He's like, it's just going to be a baseball 101. We're not traveling for it. There's going to be no tournaments. We're not traveling anywhere. We practice, we have some fun, and then we play some friendly doubleheaders. And I said, that's not a bad idea. And we keep those kids early in the program. They get to have some fun, and then, either they go up to 8U the following year, or they stay, if they're 6, they can play on the 7U team again the following year. So there are a couple 7U teams in our area that they played, I believe, and then I think they even played up against some 8U teams, which, they had some fun with.
Yeah, I tell you what, not only do I like that idea, I think you could do it, or not necessarily you specifically, but anybody could do this at the 8U, 9U levels. Compare and contrast that versus an 8U team, driving 2 states away to play and stay in hotels and all this other jazz. Like, honestly, I have no need for that.
No, we're not trying to get our 8U travel rankings up or 7U travel. It is what it is. That's, some people love that model.
Sure.
I'd rather stay home for those younger ages. In fact, our 9 to 14 or 9 to 12, usually they play locally, quote unquote locally, tournaments and stuff. I let them have one overnighter, so they may go to St. Louis or Chicago just to have some fun. Yeah. But we're not that travel heavy program at a young age where you're gone, 8 weekends in a row.
Right.
So
I'm all about let's get to the ice cream shop and over to the swimming pool as quick as possible after the game at that age group.
That sounds like a plan for the high school age level sometimes.
Well, it maybe should be a little more. Maybe should be a little more. Listen, let's start working towards wrapping up, but I want to ask you a question that could open up a Pandora's box here. So if I handed you the magic wand and allowed you to make one change, what do you think one change it could be made to travel baseball that would have the biggest positive impact?
Yeah, in fact, I think my boy Ryan Minjan mentioned this, and you'll hear me talk about this with my other coaches. I get on my soapbox, but we worry about arm care and health and of our arms. Yet we're playing 5 games on a Sunday because we lost the first game, and now we're in the losers bracket. We got to win every game.
Yeah.
At 9U. So I feel like if we do machine pitch for a couple years, I know we do coaches pitch at 8, do machine pitch for, another year, maybe 2 years. Kids can learn the game, play defense, learn how to hit your cutoffs. We're not worried about leadoffs and pickoff moves and picking on the poor catcher who just learned how to catch for the first time this year. Like it's just like, what are we doing sometimes? Everyone's in a rush to play big boy baseball, but you can only play big boy baseball on 90-foot bases. Having leadoffs at 60-foot, 65-foot bases and trying to learn. We have, box and all this stuff. It's not good baseball. You got dads sending kids home or coaches sending kids home, waving them in on a ground ball to the shortstop from second, just stuff like that. It just kind of takes the fun out of the game, and some people lose sight of, really what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I would like machine pitch. I feel like in my program, we lose kids because 8U is awesome. It's coach's pitch. It's fast paced. There's a lot of runs scored. Kids get a lot of at bats, and then we go to 9U where it's kid pitch, and kids can't throw strikes.
Yeah.
And,
game slows down, doesn't it?
Slows down. Kids are in the outfield, not getting any action, and they feel like it's a punishment now because they're in the outfield. And you lose those kids to other sports, and I feel like if we just keep them invested for a couple years to learn the game, learn their positions, I think the game would be better off.
All right, so I'm gonna say the same thing. I think I told him. I don't know if I told him, but I've had a handful of coaches, and I give the same question about waving the magic wand. What are you going to do? And then you tell me, and then here's my response. I challenge you to do it. Go do it.
Yeah.
You could go do it. Maybe you can't do it in this official event that that's being hosted by some fancy tournament company, but you could do that. Like when you're just inter-squadding with yourself, or if you just call up the team across town and y'all are going to get together and play. I think it sounds like a pretty simple thing to implement. So that's my challenge to you to end the call is like, you could do this right on your own. And if you do it and the guy across town does it, maybe somebody else, maybe he'll do it with somebody else. And it's something that'll start to spread because, I mean, you get a 9-year-old, maybe 10-year-old teams doing this. And you're right, man. The more action, the better. And guess how you get action? Is you get consistent pitches that are hittable in the zone. Yeah. And sometimes that's hard to get from a 9-year-old and 10-year-old pitcher. Sometimes that's hard to get from a 29-year-old pitcher. So yeah, man. Here, I challenge you. Go do it. I think you could do that. As soon as next weekend. With that age group, that'd be really cool. And the reasonings behind it are smart, really smart. So that's cool, man. Is there any other little minor tweaks or major tweaks you think could have a positive impact on travel baseball?
No, I think just the I know everyone wants to play a tournament format, but sometimes just play 3 games a weekend, and I think you're good. 4 sometimes pushing it, especially at the young age. I don't know many teams that have that kind of pitching.
Yeah.
To go 4 or 5 games, and it's just, and then you get deep in the event, and you've used all your pitching, so now you got kids who haven't pitched, and now there's 12 walks a game. So, it's just stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know guys want to get games in, but at the same time, it's like, let's just be smart about it.
Yeah.
Let's have some good baseball games and not just, have some quality over quantity.
No kidding. Here's a pro tip for anybody still listening that running games at the older age group, and I guess this works at the lower age group, but from a recruiting standpoint, falls have become tougher and tougher. Coaches are, They're getting so much work done during the summer. They're seeing kids 20 times during the summer. It's like, well, when fall starts and they're on the field with their own teams, and you might not see 30 coaches at a game like you would during the summer. So here you go. Pro tip. Instead of entering a tournament that you're going to spend $1,000 or $1,500 on, just do a little three-way doubleheader. You call two other teams of similarly talented players, and you call up that coach where a lot of those players might be really good fits for. And this might be a JUCO. This might be a D3. But if you can take 3 teams over to a Division III facility on a Sunday afternoon, you rent the field for, whatever. They'll probably give it to you most of the time, first of all. And then you hire an umpire and you do a three-way doubleheader. You bring your own baseballs, and you're home by dinner. You're home by dinner. You sleep. And it's so easy and so cheap.
Yeah. No, we played in University of Illinois Springfield, a good Division II program. They had us down. They had 4 teams down. We played a doubleheader Saturday, doubleheader Sunday. It was awesome.
Yeah.
They had their coaches there. The junior Lincoln Land, they're down the street. They came down and watched, and they loved some of our kids. We got our games in, and it made a good. We had a good rapport with their coaching staff, and got a couple kids on their radars, and it was perfect. And I told them that. I said, this is what we need to do more of.
Yes.
Is, get home. We're not staying the night. Parents love that. We played, got our 4 games in, didn't have to pay for any hotels. Kids got their at-bats and got, seen by coaches that on rosters that they can play on.
Yeah. I don't know how many times I've had to say it over the last few years because, again, the summer has evolved to become just incredibly efficient to the point where that's almost had this like negative impact on the fall from a recruiting standpoint is what I'm talking about. You see there's fewer coaches on the road except for a couple of key events. And so I keep telling the average program, if you're scheduling the fall in the exact same type of tournaments you scheduled your summer, you're probably missing the boat. Doing these smaller, this way I describe it. Summer is like mass marketing, and fall is like target marketing, where you're gonna get a couple teams, 2, 3, 4, 6 teams, maybe 1 facility, and you play, and then you go home, and you're good. Way less expensive. It's just more strategic that way. Well, listen, man, I know we could probably keep on keeping on for a while, but I want to be respectful of your time. So, do you have any kind of last parting words of wisdom for that last coach that might still be listening, or that last parent that's still listening?
Yeah, just have fun with it. Build that rapport with your families and kids. Just don't make it, if you're doing it for a bit, don't just make it a business. I've formed some great relationships with kids and families over the years. Real dear to my heart, become real good friends. Kids have gone off to college and given up baseball, but they still check in with me and see how things are going, and do it for the right reasons, because that's where it'll pay off. This is a thankless job. It really is. We kind of get, the blame for things and not enough credit for things. But at the end of the day, if you guys are doing what's right and by the families and the kids, that's where it'll pay off for you in the long run.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. Don't hang up. I'm going to stop the recording, but I appreciate it, man. That was great.
Awesome. Thanks, Rich. I appreciate it.